Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is RGM Presents Beyond the Mic. My name is Uche, and we have a special guest. His name is Face. How you doing, brother?
What up, man? I'm good on this beautiful morning. Happy to be here.
Happy to be here. That's good to know. Hey, listen, I know you have a face on. You have a mask on, and
Right.
I would love for the people who are listening and watching this to kind of understand who you are and why you have a mask on. So let's just start right there. Your name is Face. Where are you from, and why do you have a mask on, sir?
All right. Yeah, I'm FACEvsIT on everything. But I have a mask on because I just dropped a project called 3 Faces, and this is one of the faces. It's based on the Japanese proverb. They say you have 3 faces. The first face you show to the world. The second face you show to your loved ones and your close friends, and the third face you don't show to any. It's who you truly are. That's what the whole premise of the project is, actually. I try to show every piece of me, even the one I don't show the world on the project.
That's actually kind of deep, man. So, interestingly enough, I listened to your album, 3 Faces, and what you just said was part of the intro. Like, it was clearly explained. And what gave you the kind of inspiration to feel like you had to shine light on, I guess, people's personalities and what they choose to show other people? Was there something pivotal that happened in your life that made you want to kind of shed light on this type of approach that people put out into the world?
Ever since I could remember, like, that was kind of like what rap was. It was like what you show the world. What any entertainment is, what any creativity is, what you show your pieces. The 3 Phase, I remember when I read it for the first time, I was like, and I read it a long time ago. It just stuck with me ever since, and I just felt like at the point that I was in my life when I started working on the project, I was just like, you know what? I feel like this is way more personal than I've ever gotten. Song-wise, this is way more than just me like being a street journalist and talking about what I've seen. This is me really talking about myself. And so I was like, 3 Faces kind of fits because I'm really trying to show everybody what and who I am,
You're right, man. We all have inner person in us. Like, for me, I know when I'm by myself, I like to eat Subway cookies, man.
Man, those are fire.
I have this like infatuation more recently with Subway cookies, man. Like, I don't share that with the world at all. The world don't know that. They know now, though, technically. But still.
They will.
Are you from LA? Or did I make that assumption right?
I'm from South Central LA, right by USC. If you ever been out here, you know that USC is in the middle of the hood. It's really crazy. It's a trip. But I was born and raised out here. I went to school all over LA, so like I'm really like a LA person, like a real LA person, not just South Central. Like I went to the West Side where like, the preppy kids, and now I live in the Northeast side. So like I've lived all over LA.
When an outsider says LA, is that assuming that they mean like Hollywood or somewhere specifically in that region? Or like, I'm trying to understand, like, when people say LA, what does that really mean?
So there's a debate even with LA heads, like people from because LA is a county, right? LA County is huge. It's huge. LA County has the Valley, San Fernando, Calabasas. That's where like all the Calabasas is where all the rich people live. That's where like Drake has a house, Kanye and all that. If you're from the Valley, usually people from where I'm from, it's like, that's not LA. Where I'm from is what I'd consider LA, like South Central and Mid City, because it's downtown LA, and then northeast of that is Northeast LA, which is Nella, and then there's East LA, there's Southeast LA, and there's like Compton is part of Southeast LA, and then there's South Central LA, which is like bordering Compton on the other side. South Central LA is probably like the biggest body because it goes from like past the 110 freeway, which divides the city in half, all the way past Crenshaw, which is like where Nipsey's from, right? Like, it's kind of where I'm from too. Like, I grew up on that side of town. Then you got the west side, which is like West LA, the like kind of nicer area, like going towards Beverly Hills, Century City. And then you got the South Bay, which is like Carson and like right next to Compton as well. It's a lot.
You just gave a masterclass for people, man. Look, I hope this doesn't further complicate the beef, not real beef, but like the discussion. Hopefully that clarifies things for people out there who've been asking. How is being from, to use your words, LA? You really moved around a bit. How has that kind of shaped your music?
Well, see, I'm a real different. Like, I grew up in like the west side of South Central, so like Lamert Park, that's where like Project Glowed. I don't know how familiar you far with that, but like the Good Life Cafe, Project Blowed, now it's Bananas, but it's like there's this place called the Chaos Network, and it takes place there, and this is like where the creme de la creme of freestyle rappers come from. If you weren't good on the mic, you got booed off. So you had to be pretty nice with the freestyles. I came like right after that stage. That's when I became part of that. But I had to learn how to freestyle when I first started rapping. Like that was a focus, you know. But the thing is, I would go every summer. I'd spend my summers in Ecuador. Like every fall, I'd go to New York to see my dad's side of the family. So I was listening to the mixtapes, like the 50 Cent mixtapes, before people knew who he was out here. My musical influence spans from reggaeton before it was like the Daddy Yankees and stuff. Like I was listening to that.
Tego Calderon?
He's one of my favorite, man. Like I love
Tego
him.
Calderon is great.
He's actually my first reggaeton concert was Tego Calderon.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, it was a grip of fools, but he was like the headliner. And then, of course, the salsa that I grew up dancing to. Like, I taught salsa classes with my dad. Like, for like me, when I rap, it's always been a point that I want to show people. Like, I'm LA. I feel like I embody LA, but at the same time, I'm also Ecuadorian. I also have East Coast love. And like the game said, you know, I was the only LA with a New York friend of mine, you know?
I hear it all throughout your music. Just hearing you explain your region and where you're from and sort of where you grew up is dope. Because I honestly, LA is producing a lot of really dynamic artists, and I think the culture there, you can really hear it in the music. And so, with that being said, I want to jump into some of the songs on your latest project, 3 Faces.
All right.
And I'm assuming this is the second face you want to show.
Yeah, this is the second face, I guess. Yeah, I have the happy face too, but I actually felt like I just wanted to do the sad face because I was up early as hell.
I hear you, man.
You know?
You have a song called "I'm a King." What's the most king-ish that you've done lately?
It depends what your level of kingness is, right? I feel like the fact that I could go to most venues where like hip hop shows are going on, there could be a line, and I just walk to the front of the line, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm Face, and they just let me in. You know, just cruising down your city, knowing you good. You're not going to be molested, like, you know, physically, like fight or whatever because of who you are and the name that you carried at any of these shows, because people know, like, don't fuck with me, I'm a king, you know? In the song, I say, you know, pinky ring with 2 carats, gold chain in a foreign carriage. Like, that's really where I feel like, bro, I came from having nothing, riding the bus pass and hoofing it everywhere to, like, I'm in a nice car, I have nice things, and you know, I'm just cruising around my city bumping. I'm a king.
I love that, man. And I'm sure the more people kind of get to know you and your music and your story, they'll maybe even listen back to this interview and hear like, yo, Face didn't have it all together like from day one. Like it was a process, I'm assuming, right?
Oh yeah.
People don't really see the grind. So I'm glad you understand, number one, that there's levels to kingness, but still we all do have it in our own right. It's just kind of up to us to kind of ascend into it and accept it in a way.
I kind of wrote that song to be motivational, so I'm happy that you got that. I was worried. I mean, you know, this is my first solo project, so I was a little worried. I was like, man, I hope people don't just think that I'm being cocky and ostentatious and just trying to show out that I have these things now. I want people to understand, like, in it, I'm talking about coming up. Like I said, I hate it when you call me lucky. I prepped the food, cooked the plate, and ate every opportunity. Trust me. Like, you ever play WrestleMania?
Of course, back in the day, yeah.
Right. So you remember, like, the road to WrestleMania? Like,
yeah.
You had a fight in, like, the backyard, and then you had a fight, like, in a little rinky-dink ring, and then you had a fight in like a bigger stadium, and so on and so forth, until you got to WrestleMania. And that's kind of what I feel like my journey in hip hop has been. Like, now next week I have my biggest show next week, and I'm getting flown out to Mexico to open up for the biggest rapper in Mexico. Like, it's levels to this.
I like that, man. You definitely, I would say, have a good understanding of the way things work. I want to jump to a song that I believe is the standout on the project, but who am I? There's a song called Lamala.
Yamala.
Yamala. I'm sorry about that. I Googled this. I don't know if this is true. Yamala means call her. Is that true?
Call her. Yep.
Okay. Okay, cool. First off, the beat is dope. The flow is dope. Like, that's one of the standouts for me. But like, how important is it, number one, to kind of make music that can kind of measure up to, I would say, the status quo of where hip hop is kind of going sonically? You know what I'm saying? I feel like that song kind of fits into what's going on right now. But at the same time, incorporate your heritage and the music that you like, because you're really speaking Spanish on maybe half the project.
Right, yeah.
And there's going to be people who listen and who maybe don't understand what you're saying, what you're trying to say, just from a language gap standpoint, right? Bad Bunny is one of my favorite artists right now, and I really don't understand what he's saying half the time at all. You can't really, I would say, deny the music at the end of the day. So, like, do you think about that as an artist where you're like, man, damn, most of these people who maybe hear this, they may not know what I'm saying, but, like, if the music is undeniable, it's undeniable. Is that something you think about?
Back to, like, the Black and Brown days, like, I had a homie named Preach the Truth. I never used to rap in Spanish because I didn't want that to happen. I didn't want people not to mess with me, one. And two, being as that I am from LA and I already had like an issue. I love my Mexican brethren, but people used to always think I was Mexican just because I was from LA. And I used to hate that, and I didn't want to be boxed into, oh, he's just like every other Mexican rapper. He's just like the Little Robs. He's just like the, Mr. Capone's. And I love them, but that's not me and that's not my style. So it was a problem, but my boy Preach the Truth was just like, hey, man, because he would hear me speak Spanish. He would hear how much of a part of my culture it was. I spoke Spanish before I spoke English. He would tell me like, yo, rap in Spanish. And then finally, back then I was a little homie back then. So he was just like, I got this beat. I want you to rap on it, but you got to rap in Spanish. And I rapped in Spanish and I fell in love with it. I was like, dude, why haven't I done this? And at this point in time, since then, I just rolled with it. Like, I don't rap. I let the beat tell me what to do, really. Or if I'm working on a beat, I'll be like, oh, I'm feeling like my Latino vibes today. Like, I'm going to go that way. I think also because I went to Ecuador every year and I saw them love English music and not know what the hell it was. Good music is good music. It doesn't matter if you understand it or not.
You have a very unique lane, with that. So I would say everything you just said about how, you having shows and, out of town and whatnot, like definitely keep that up, man. Because I think that that's a lane that is undeniably there for whoever wants to like pick it up and run with it. Like I just saw a report that said, 6ix9ine did a show overseas where, he's, getting paid to do tours in Spanish speaking countries. And he's, he has a career because he kind of has still continued to dive into that lane musically here and there. But this is not necessarily about him, but it's just to kind of point out that the fact that you speak Spanish, I think that gives you an edge in a way from a global standpoint.
I agree. And it's funny because I really felt like it was something that worked against me for so long. Like growing up ciphering, they always thought that, the opposite. And it's like, no, love to my essays, but there was, back then it was really a thing. I was the only like Latino person in that area rapping the way I was at all, the way I was rapping. It was always something that I kind of held like, it was like a chip on my shoulder until I realized, man, this is a superpower.
It is, man. And kind of going back, so this is your second phase. You started the interview off with one phase. This is phase number 2. What is your favorite face out of the 3 that you have? Who is the real face that you feel like you are in character the most?
Do you know who Tim Grover is? He's the person who trained Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan. He's one of my favorite authors. In the book, Relentless, he talks about your darkness and how most people run from their darkness, but people like a Kobe or people like a Michael Jordan, they embrace their darkness. They use their darkness. The face that I only keep to myself, that's my darkness. The other 2 faces are like the faces that I'd say I use for the world. The darkness part, I think, is like my superpower. But in order to keep the darkness at bay, the other 2 have to be like equally charged. And I'm a Libra, so like I'm very much about like balance.
I love that answer, man. I really do. Because, I feel like the conversation we're having is very full circle. You just dropped an album, 3 Faces. You kind of explained what it all means. I think everybody can relate to that. What can the people expect from you next? I know you touched on it a little bit, but like, where can they follow you? What are you doing, man?
At FACEvsIT on all social medias, on all streaming platforms. It's the same, at FACEvsIT, which I was really impressed that you got that right because people never get that right. They're like FACEvsIT. It's crazy, but FACEvsIT is what it is. It's ego versus conscious, face versus the killer clown or whatever. I mean, right now I'm really just focused on pushing this project and getting it out to the people. I'm working on a lot of projects on the back end. I'm basically not going to stop dropping after this point. My crew, MML Clan, just dropped A Fool, which was the lead single on a project called The Monster EP. My crew members dropped their solo projects, Barlitos Way, Barlos Got Bars, and a Sneaky Shadow Work. Basically, we're just pushing the crap out of our stuff, and we might have something for the people as like a thank you coming real soon, real soon. But you know, it's gonna be a surprise. I'm on a promo tour. I'm hopefully coming to the city near you, and if I'm not, you know, like hit me up and I'll set it up.
I really wish much success for your project and what you have going on in the back end and these tours. We're gonna be paying attention to you, man, and keeping tabs, man. I'm telling you.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man.
You got a wave going on, and I really like what you're doing. So for sure, keep it up, man.
Thank you, thank you. Real quick, I want to say those masks that I'm rocking, they were designed by Mr. B Baby, and she is a phenomenal artist and muralist, and so everybody should go check her out. She's amazing.
Y'all go check her out, man. Face, this has been a dope interview. This is Beyond the Mic. Peace.
Peace.